Hi, I'm Neil Hayes, Managing Executive of AECI Industrial Chemicals, a division of AECI Limited. On behalf of the management team, welcome to our site. At AECI, we are fully committed to operating sustainably, without harm to our people, the environment, and the communities in which we operate. Our people include our employees, service providers, customers, and suppliers. By the nature of our products, chemicals, and operations, this makes our facility a major hazard installation. Therefore, we must manage all risks to ensure zero harm to all and return home safely to our loved ones every day. No matter the size of the task to be done, it must always be done safely or not at all. To me, zero harm goes beyond compliance, and our target is zero. We can only achieve zero if we become resilient, and if zero harm is our way of life. We need you to be a Captain Zero. Always zero in on your tasks and help us to continuously improve. I invite you to join us on our journey to zero harm.
We aspire to operate sustainably without harm to people, the environment, and the communities in which we operate. Zero harm. Two simple words with massive impact on how we go about our business every day. As you go about your work with AECI, you agree to be part of that journey, and we encourage you to actively participate in it, as without your commitment, zero harm would not be possible. Site information. This site is classified as a major hazard installation in terms of the Occupational Health and Safety Act 85 of 1993. We receive, manufacture, store, and dispatch a number of hazardous chemicals, and therefore, you must pay careful attention to this induction video, as we will highlight some of the hazards present on site and inform you of what to do to ensure you and your colleagues are safe at all times. As you go about your work, ensure you understand and control the risks involved. We will do our utmost to keep you safe, and in turn, you must do the same. Stop all unsafe work and report any unsafe conditions. Certifications. In an effort to manage safety, health, environment, and quality, we subscribe to the following standards: ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 45001, and responsible care. Entrance requirements. All visitors and contractors must proceed to security where they will meet their host. Personal protective equipment. The standard PPE for entrance into the manufacturing areas are a hard hat, eye protection, hearing protection, to be worn in demarcated areas, an acid and flame retardant overall with reflective tapes, and safety footwear with impact protection, impermeable, and anti-slip soles. Other PPE may be necessary based on the area or task risk assessment. Upon entry to our site, visitors and contractors must declare all tools. The following items are prohibited on this site: knives, firearms, any illegal or intoxicating substances. No cell phones are allowed in the plant manufacturing areas due to the risk they can pose. Visitors must remain with their host at all times. Contractors, remember, you must have authorization to carry out any work on site. No risk assessment, no permit to work, no work allowed. Vehicle and road safety. Talking on a cell phone or texting while driving is strictly prohibited. No petrol-driven vehicles are allowed to enter the manufacturing areas. Ensure that the vehicles are not overloaded or that the load is securely tied down. Please reverse park in designated areas. Obey all traffic rules, including speed limits. Drivers must be on the lookout for pedestrians while driving on site and give way. Hazard awareness. When you are in the plant, be on the lookout for any spillages, moving or rotating equipment, mobile plant, suspended loads, or any other potential hazards. When handling hazardous chemical substances, ensure that you understand the risks of the chemical. Details can be found on the safety data sheet. Harm may be caused by chemicals in different ways, some over a short time and others over a longer time. Exposure can occur by inhalation, skin or eye contact, or ingestion. Always ensure you are protected. What to do if you come into contact with a harmful chemical? If splashed with harmful chemicals on the skin or eyes, it is very important to wash the affected area immediately. Never delay washing. Diphoterine is the most effective solution and must be the first option for applying to the affected area. Use the entire contents of the diphoterine container. If there is no diphoterine available, then use the safety shower or eye wash fountain and wash the affected area for 20 minutes with water. Remove contaminated clothing and contact lenses. Do not put contaminated clothes back on. Incidents must be reported immediately to your host or responsible person. Safety and emergency equipment. In the interests of health and safety, do not misuse or abuse any safety equipment provided. Do not remove any emergency equipment from its location. For your safety and emergency assistance, we have diphoterine stations, safety showers, first aid boxes, breathing apparatus sets, and firefighting equipment strategically located on site. When carrying out work that includes handling of hazardous chemicals, diphoterine shall be placed as close as possible for a speedy response in the case of a chemical splash. Know the location of all safety equipment. This can save your life. Do not cause any obstructions to emergency equipment, as clear access is required in case of an emergency. Do not interfere with any trip or interlock systems provided. Actions in case of an emergency situation such as a gas release, fire, or explosion. If you discover an emergency situation, initiate the emergency alarm and, if possible, provide information over the radio. Take note of the emergency escape routes and the nearest breathing apparatus set in the vicinity. All persons not part of the emergency team must proceed to the G room. Take note of the wind direction and move upwind in the case of a gas leak. Once in the G room, follow the instructions of the senior person in charge. When the condition is safe, the all clear will be initiated by the emergency coordinator or MPRO controller as per the extent of the emergency. This is a siren with 3 consecutive bursts of the alarm, each of approximately 5 seconds duration. The MPRO alarm is tested on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. This test consists of sounding the siren alarm for a short duration from the central gate. Storage and handling. Never exceed the maximum storage capacity of any hazardous chemical on site, and declare any chemicals you bring onto site. When storing chemicals, ensure that they are compatible with one another. To protect yourself against hazards associated with the use of hazardous chemicals, ensure that you are trained on hazards associated with each chemical that you handle. Before working on any equipment, ensure that it is decontaminated and free from hazardous materials. When hazardous chemicals must be handled, ensure that you wear the appropriate PPE as prescribed in the operating instructions, SDS, and permit to work. These may include the use of acid suits, aprons, respiratory PPE, and so on. Never remove other PPE such as eye protection while gloves are still on, as residue chemicals may get into your eyes or on your skin. After handling hazardous substances, ensure that your hands are washed before you smoke or eat. Legal requirements. Our site is governed by various legislations which include acts and regulations, municipal bylaws, etc. These have been translated into SHE requirements and must be adhered to at all times. AECI Industrial Chemicals takes compliance seriously and enforces it throughout our operations. Remember, you may refuse to carry out any task if, reasonably, you believe that it poses a risk to your health or safety or the environment. Inform your supervisor or health and safety representative. Pedestrian safety. Pedestrians must be aware of moving vehicles and forklifts on site. Before crossing any road, ensure that it is safe to do so. When walking up or down the stairs, hold on to the handrail. Inspect ladders before use. Ladders must be secured while in use. A buddy system is required. Never climb a ladder with tools in your hands. Do not remove any plant grading without ensuring that measures are taken to prevent people from falling into the opening. A physical barrier shall be erected where the grading has been removed. All lifting activities and work at heights shall be stopped during severe adverse weather conditions. Forklift safety. Forklifts will only be driven by a competent driver who possesses a valid license. A forklift must not be driven into areas where the slope and condition of the surface make the area unsuitable for the type of forklift being used. When driving a forklift, keep to the speed limit and always fasten your seatbelt. The forklift must be inspected for safety and operational faults prior to first use on each shift. Hand tools. Inspect your tools before use and ensure they are safe and suitable for purpose. Do not throw tools from one location to another or from one employee to another. Use the right tool for the right job. Do not carry sharp or pointed hand tools such as knives in your pocket. Electrical tools. All electrical tools must be maintained in good working order. If any tool is unsafe to use, it must be taken out of service. This includes equipment with bare wires, frayed covering, cracked plug tops, or loose pins. Ensure that the electrical tools you bring on site are approved by an AECI electrician. Excavation safety. Excavation and trenching is a very hazardous operation with many dangers, such as cave-ins, a person falling in, falling loads, hazardous atmospheres, such as accumulation of gases in the trench, cutting into surfaces, and so on. For this reason, any excavation done on site requires an excavation permit issued by AECI Property Services, as well as the appropriate plant permit to work. If during excavation, groundwater or foreign material that cannot be identified is encountered, it must be considered toxic. The excavation must be stopped immediately and the permit issuer notified. Alcohol and drug abuse. The nature of our business makes it extremely dangerous for any individual to drive or operate any equipment or work while under the influence of intoxicating substances. Therefore, we have adopted a zero-tolerance approach when it comes to drugs and alcohol. No person may enter the site if under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Searches for alcohol, prohibited drugs, and other substances of abuse within the workplace may be conducted. Any employee who suspects another individual of being intoxicated or in an unfit state due to the influence of alcohol or drugs shall report the matter to supervision or security. If taking prescription medication that may impair your judgment, consult the occupational medical practitioner at Life Clinic. Management of incidents. Incidents on site. All incidents must be reported immediately to your responsible AECI employee or security so that the necessary corrective measures may be taken. You are not allowed to take any video or photographs of the emergency scene or injured unless authorized to do so for the purposes of the investigation. Spillages should be contained and cleaned up as soon as possible. Where possible, divert leaks away from stormwater drains to avoid environmental pollution. Treat all leaks as hazardous. Never respond to leaks without adequate PPE. General housekeeping. We take pride in the appearance of our facility. All our workspaces must be maintained to the highest housekeeping standards. Housekeeping is the responsibility of all employees. Yes, that includes you. Keep aisles, walkways, corridors, staircases, entrance halls, doorways, and emergency exits clear and accessible. Report any defective signs or plant equipment to your supervisor or plant personnel. Ensure that equipment laydown areas are clearly identified and kept in good condition at all times. Dispose waste in dedicated bins. Do not mix plant-contaminated waste and general office waste. Do not put chemicals and oil into the stormwater drains. No eating and drinking in the plants. Only eat in designated areas. Life-saving behaviors. These life-saving behaviors have been developed to save lives and must always be followed. Be authorized and competent on our journey to zero harm. Competence means using your knowledge and skills to reach intended results, allowing you to work efficiently, productively, and safely. You run a higher risk of injury to yourself and others if incompetent. Training improves performance and reduces risk of injury. Only do work if you are qualified, competent, and authorized to do so. Make sure everyone is given the correct job-specific procedures and instructions, detailed information about hazards, risks, and controls, as well as any safety measures for the environment and work to be performed. On-the-job training makes sure task-specific procedures and work instructions are understood and applied. Authorization. Authorized workers are those given official permission for specific work, such as work permits, appointment letters, and job descriptions. No employee may operate any motor vehicle equipment unless trained, licensed, and authorized by site management. No employee may enter hazardous areas unless authorized by site management. Concentrate while driving, and everyone must buckle up on our journey to zero harm. Safety belts can save lives and reduce risk of injuries in vehicle accidents. Driving at high speed increases the risk of accident. Distracted drivers are a major cause of accidents. Stay focused and just drive. Drivers must be totally focused on the road and must not be distracted. Drivers and passengers must always wear safety belts. Check that your safety belt works correctly and is positioned across your body. Passengers must not distract the driver. Just drive. Never use mobile phones or any other devices while driving. Obey all traffic laws, including speed limits. Check all conditions. road, weather, light, etc., and drive carefully according to indicated hazards and risks. Adjust your speed and driving style for the conditions. Confined spaces atmospheric testing on our journey to zero harm. A confined space is any enclosed, restricted, or limited space which is not for continuous human occupancy. These spaces can have an oxygen-deficient atmosphere, and hazardous substances or gases may accumulate. Each site must classify all confined spaces in their boundaries. Never enter a confined space alone. Persons in confined spaces must obey all requirements, including work permits. Test and record atmosphere before entry and at set intervals. Confined spaces must be well ventilated and free of toxic or explosive gases. Emergency escape plans, rescue, and other equipment must be available at the work site. Make sure everyone follows all requirements. Follow journey management plan when driving. On our journey to zero harm. Follow your journey management plan for emergency assistance in the event of any incident, and stay fresh when behind the wheel, guaranteeing the safety of yourself and others. Only drive or operate vehicles that you are competent, licensed, and authorized to. Inspect vehicle before use and only drive if roadworthy. Select safest route before departure and follow it. Take breaks at set times and in authorized rest areas. Before traveling, check all conditions, road, weather, light, etc., and avoid routes with mist or fog. While driving, remain focused and avoid any distractions, no cell phones. Never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Carry emergency and medical information in the vehicle. Apply medical aid and EMS stickers to the vehicle. Make sure everyone follows all requirements. Isolation and zero energy testing on our journey to zero harm. Isolation and zero energy testing prevents injury from or exposure to moving machinery, electricity, high pressure fluids, hot toxic materials or chemicals, poisonous gas, and or radiation. Isolation follows the LOTO rule: lock out and tag out. Always test for zero energy. Verify and confirm all energy sources are isolated and safe to start work. Attach personal locks to guarantee isolation and lock out before beginning work. Test for zero energy on electrical equipment. Check that equipment has been isolated by trying to start and operate equipment. Team leaders must confirm it is safe to start work. Make sure everyone follows all requirements. Always use your PPE on our journey to zero harm. Use personal protective equipment, or PPE, at work to protect your body, including your eyes, face, head, hands, feet, and torso, keeping you healthy, safe, and risk-free. Wear PPE as required by task risk assessments, work permits, and work procedures. Wear all the prescribed PPE when handling hazardous chemicals. Understand the safety data sheet of a chemical before working with it. Make sure you know how to use, care for, decontaminate, and dispose of your PPE correctly. Check condition of all PPE before work starts and immediately replace it if needed. Make sure everyone follows the requirements. Secure yourself when working at heights. On our journey to zero harm. Work at heights means working in any place where you can fall a distance, causing serious life-threatening injuries or death. When working at heights, you must be secured at all times. No work is allowed where you are in danger of free-falling from a height. Only work at height if you are trained, authorized, and competent. Make sure you are trained in the fall protection plan and follow it at all times. Always use a fall protection system, like physical barriers, when possible. Make sure fall arrest equipment is suitable for the work and inspected before use and at scheduled intervals by competent people. Always ensure double tie-off. When moving in an elevated position, one lanyard must always be attached. Make sure the fall arrest equipment fits the fall distance. Choose a safe anchor point. Always work secured at height. If you need to unsecure yourself and you can free fall, stop work immediately. Avoid suspended loads and moving equipment or vehicles. On our journey to zero harm. Suspended loads are objects temporarily raised off the ground. Do not walk under suspended loads. They can fall, causing serious life-threatening injuries or death. Forklift and crane operators must be competent and can refuse to lift loads that are not properly secured. Operations must stop if anyone enters the drop or danger zones. Be aware of suspended loads. Never cross a barrier controlling drop or danger zones. Make sure lifting equipment is declared safe before use. When working on lifting activities, use a tagline and stay clear of the drop or danger zones. Always warn others to stay clear. Stay clear of moving vehicles, equipment, and machines, such as forklifts. They may not see you. Drivers must hoot to warn others before moving vehicles. Do not leave running vehicles unmanned. Stop anyone approaching or entering any drop or danger zones and/or failing to follow all requirements. Verify ignition sources on our journey to zero harm. Hot work can create heat, sparks, or flames and can be a source of ignition. In potentially flammable atmospheres, test for gas before hot work starts and at set intervals. To prevent fires and explosions, no hot work on any tanks, vessels, pipelines containing product or residue without proper isolation, cleaning, and venting. Keep work area clean and free of flammable material. Ignition sources must only enter flammable areas under strict control. Check product SDS flashpoints before work starts. All equipment must be earthed under strict control. If gas meter alarms sound, stop all hot work. Smoke only in designated areas. Ensure all sparks are contained. Make sure everyone follows all requirements. Work permit required on our journey to zero harm. All sites must identify work that requires a work permit and ensure no work starts without a permit being issued. Responsibilities are clearly outlined in site procedure for work permits. Permit issuer must be trained and appointed by management. Permit acceptor must be a trained and competent person who can accept permits. Permit issuers and permit acceptors must visit work site before permit is issued and after work is complete. Permit issuers must positively identify the equipment to be worked on to the permit acceptor at the work site. Reduce hazards to acceptable levels before work starts. Ensure work permits cover all work to be completed. Team members must understand permit requirements and comply at all times. Permit issuers must ensure the equipment is returned to its original state and area is cleaned before sign-off. Make sure everyone follows site procedures for work permits. Work must stop when issuer leaves site, unsafe conditions or emergency situation arises, or job conditions change. Critical safe behaviors. We have 15 critical safe behaviors which focus on those behaviors and activities which have the potential to cause you or your colleagues serious injury. Continuous risk assessment. Zero in. Before, during, and after any task, zero in. Zoom in. Zoom in on an area. Consider the task at hand, people around, the area of concern, and the tools required to complete the job. Evaluate. Evaluate the risk by looking at what can go wrong, how, and why it will go wrong. Reaffirm. Reaffirm controls and behaviors required. Opportunity. Opportunity to correct any deviations and ask for help when not sure. Zero in everywhere and all the time. Each and every one of us is responsible for both our individual and collective well-being. This induction is valid for a period of 12 months. Remember to zero in before, during, and after any task. Our goal is zero harm, so we can all go back home safely to our families.